Hello and welcome to Stud's Side Notes. Today we're going to be going over something that I've been excited about going over for the last couple of weeks, and today we're going to do that. So, uh, this awesome FGC community member who goes by Infil, who did a ton of work specifically on this game, Killer Instinct, um, came up with a online glossary that has pretty much every fighting game term that you're ever going to need to know. There might be some really far-fetched ones or like niche ones that are only specifically in certain regions that might not show up here, but even some of those do. And this is just a really good reference. So basically, if there's anything that we're saying, and I'm trying to go through a lot of it, but there's so many terms, even some that like I consider to be like just intuitive. So I'm not going to say too much. Like if I say that's punishable, like that seems pretty reasonable to understand what that means, even if you don't really play fighting games. That means that they just picked a move that you are able to freely punish them for doing as long as you block it. But, if you ever have any questions or if there are things that just kind of don't make sense or sometimes they have double meanings, like today's word of the day, then you can just look them up here. So, obviously, it's got the terms by alphabetical order, and it also has them by a very large variety of game choices. Obviously, there is going to be some crossover between games, and there's going to be some things that are in just every single game. I think the ones that are in every single game, such as advantage, don't get a specific indicator. But if we go to something that's only in a few of the games, I believe that there will actually be a little symbol for which games these apply to over here next to the advantage or next to the term. So we'll look at that as we go. So let's look at the term of the day first. So advantage. So usually refers to frame advantage. That is, who is allowed to attack first after some move hits or is blocked. You might say you can't press a button there. I'm at advantage to indicate that you are plus. So I definitely refer to the term plus a lot. I don't think I use the word advantage very often, but I've definitely used the words plus and minus. So let's go to that one next. It might also refer to who wins a certain matchup, so character advantage. So yeah, fair enough. Pretty simple, but even a very simple term like this one has got two meanings, and you can see we've got three more references here that we can go to. So let's pick plus. So when you are able to freely act, but your opponent cannot. So usually because they are still trapped in block stun from your attack. Being plus or positive in a fighting game is quite strong. Yeah, it means that you have a little bit more time to act before your opponent does, even if only by a slim margin. Usually, in most games, if you are plus, your fastest buttons are very close to each other in value to any other character's fastest buttons, so you will win if you both try to mash after you are plus. And then, of course, if you're minus, that's the other side of the coin. If you try to mash there, you are usually going to lose. So that's a big one. And then, of course, punishable or unsafe is kind of the next level of minus, right? So let's pick unsafe. Yeah, so there it is. Unsafe. And so a move that when it's blocked lets your opponent hit you for free before you can do anything else. So very simple, and it's got a bunch of other additional stuff, and it's even got videos, so that's pretty cool. So we can check out a video of what an unsafe move looks like, probably like an uppercut, right? Yeah, so the reason he did a jump there, so let's actually stop that. So this is a very common way before frame data comes out. So in a game such as Guilty Gear Strive that just dropped today on early access, if you happen to be running on a console version, one of the easy ways to see whether or not your move is plus or minus is to do a move and then have both characters jump afterwards, and you'll be able to see the one that jumps first is plus. And it's usually pretty easy to see which character is plus there, because you'll see, like, even with only a couple frames of difference, you'll be able to visualize it because one of the characters will just jump first and they'll be higher up. And even if you can't visualize it easily, you can always pause and see which character is higher afterwards. So if you're like in training mode and you do a move and then you jump with both characters afterwards, you can then pause it and see which character is higher up. And obviously, the further one character is above the other, the more there is a difference in the block stun there. So, or in your advantage there. So let's see what he does here. Let's see this again. So you can see what happens there, right? Is he does the move, and then now they're both trying to hold up at the same time. And there's not like a joystick here like you can do in Them's Fightin' Herds, where you would like show it like I do sometimes. But you can see that this guy's like halfway back down to the ground before he gets to jump, right? I mean, like, it's not even close. So you can see that this is unsafe because of how far up he gets to go. Basically, he's at like the peak of his jump before he's even gotten off of the ground. So sometimes they'll be very close to each other, and you might even have to pause the game to tell, and even then it might be a little difficult. But in this instance, an unsafe move is so minus that it's pretty easy to tell that you're just going to lose, right? It's a significant difference in the amount of time that you've got before you're active again. So that move is so minus that it is unsafe. And so you can just kind of go through and see all kinds of stuff. So obviously one of the big ones we use here, which I love from Smash Brothers, is wave dashing. And yep, here you can see, here's the games that you can use it in. So in Smash Brothers, any character can perform this by jumping and then aerial dodging back down towards the ground in Melee. In Marvel vs. Capcom, it works the exact same way that it does in Them's Fightin' Herds. So you can dash and then cancel the forward momentum of the dash with a crouch, and then cancel the crouch with another dash. And then I believe the Mishima clan has the ability to repeat a move. So let's see. Yeah, so basically it's just the term for anything that looks like your character is moving, well, you know, going down and then up during the movement. Thus, they look like a wave motion when they're doing it. So let's see here. Yeah, low angular air dodge. Can use a forward dash and cancel it by crouching before dashing again. And then, yeah, plink dashing. So in Marvel vs. Capcom specifically, you can hit buttons to dash, and you cannot do that in Them's Fightin' Herds. So we have to use the slightly more execution-heavy version of dashing and canceling by crouching, because there's no way to beat that. Although there's a shortcut after the first dash, right, that we showed. You can just press forward, down, forward, down. You don't have to press forward twice each time to dash. And then in Tekken, the Mishimas have the ability to repeat a certain move over and over again to go across. Yeah, so same idea. These are all basically this very same or very similar ideas, and so they are all useful movement options in these different games. And then you can see that it looks like it kind of goes through the things that are visible from wave dash. So air dodge is one that's, you know, right there, and so there might be a couple of other ones. Yeah, Mishima. So it's kind of like picking things that are similar to, you know, like as if there's some way for it to notice, you know, people who searched for this also searched these things, is kind of how this looks like it works to me. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. Foxtrotting, there's a Smash Brothers thing. So yeah, you can see there's a lot of Smash Brothers lingo here. Dakising for Brawl, plink dashing. Yeah, so it's a super useful site, and you can see all kinds of stuff. And even if you want to pick something totally nuts, so like let's say that you've been watching a uni stream and they're talking about veil off, which is a fairly complicated mechanic, and you're like, oh, what's veil off? Well, you're going to have to learn a lot of things before you can understand what veil off is, but let's just look. Let's just see. Okay, so veil off, it's a uni technique. Powers up your existing character. You need at least half of your EXS gauge. Well, what's EXS gauge filled? Okay, so then you might look at that, and you will enter an install state. What's an install state? So you can look at all of these things, and sort of just going through this, you'll be able to figure out how it works. EX move infinite worth, super attacks. So you can look at all these like very game specific items that are all coming off of Veloff, and it's going to take you a while before you can get through it all, but you will eventually reach the end of this rabbit hole and you'll be able to say, ah, okay, right? So EXS gauge is how I use EX moves. It's basically meter in this game, and an install is a state where your character has powered up in some way, and you'll be able to go through all this and invent invincible, pretty self-explanatory, but basically you can pick something even off of a stream or whatever. This was something I talked about in my very first welcome to video. Is I hated how a lot of times, especially in anime games like Uni, they would talk over my head when I was trying to learn the game, particularly because of all these crazy, why does this need such a crazy names that all these Uni mechanics or, anime mechanics in general have? It's like, what is all of this stuff? And this is finally a way for you to kind of look it up yourself. I still think that there is a lot of onus on the commentators to cater a little bit more to new people who are in the chat, trying to learn how this game works and explaining a little bit of that more. And some commentators are obviously quite good at doing it when they get the chance, and you can't explain all of these things while you are trying to commentate a match. It's just not possible. But here's your way to go in afterwards, after you've watched something, write down, oh, Veloff, what is that? Oh, install, what is that? You can just write that down while you're watching a stream, go in, check it out, and then suddenly, now you'll know, right? Or even if you're just trying to learn how the game works, you can go in here and you can pick something that you don't know what it is or how to do it or whatever, and there's videos for all this stuff. You want to see a Veloff? Here it is. Boom. So you can, oh, this is the old version, but you can see that it's just got all kinds of really awesome terminologies and things for you to look at, and that's super cool. I think that that's a big deal. So if you want to know, what are they talking about? What's an FD? So there's actually going to be a couple of things here. FD break. There might be even Final Destination. No. Okay, there's no Smash there. Good. But if you want to know what FD is, what the heck is this in Guilty Gear? Now you can figure out how this works. Oh, FD is short for faultless defense, and it makes it so that you don't, it's got these different traits and characteristics when you're blocking. You don't take chip damage and all kinds of other things that are going on. And, oh, here's a similar mechanic in BlazBlue, another game by Arxis, the same people who create Guilty Gear, called Barrier Block. So now I understand that these two things are very similar to each other, and they're not quite the same, but they're very similar to each other, but they're in two different games. They have two different names, and if I'm watching an anime stream, I might see both of these. But suddenly, and now that I know one and I've seen the other one, even if I'm not perfect at it, I'm going to have a good idea how this works. And then for the last one, of course, you just select by game. So, I don't know, let's say that I want to get into, I don't know, DBZ Fighters. I can just push this and we can go in and we can check it out. Okay, so assist is from Marvel, delayed hyper combo from Marvel. But, oh, okay, here we go. Dragon Rush. What's that? A Dragon is what Dragon Ball Fighters calls a throw. So, Dragon Rush is actually just a throw, because for whatever reason they couldn't just use throw. It's not cool enough for DBZ. And you'll see that there's a lot of stuff here that is very similar to Marvel, right? So this is kind of the new Marvel game, since the Marvel game, which shall not be named, did not take off the way that they had hoped. And now you kind of get to learn this game, and while you're learning this game, you're also learning about other games. A lot of stuff that you're going to have crossover with Marvel. A couple of things with BB, so and BB tag in general. So an incoming mix-up when another character comes in. Oh, but here's some stuff that's only in, well, okay, also in Final Fantasy, but here's some stuff that's only in Dragon Ball. And so you've got Key Blast and Key Charge and Limit Break, and now you can see what all these things do, and you can look at Reflect and like, yeah, there it is. And just like figure out what all these things are. What does this defensive mechanic do? How come they're talking about the Reflect? So it's such a great tool for you to be able to just look at everything, see what you want to see. Like, you can have this open. If you're watching a Dragon Ball stream, you just have this open, you're going to be able to get a good idea of what everything is if you've got some basic understanding of fighting games. And if you don't, then you're going to be able to look this up later, and it'll still let you eventually get down the rabbit hole with all these little links that they've got everywhere. You'll be able to figure everything out. You'll be able to learn a whole lot. If this is one of the most useful references that I think has ever been created for fighting games, it is easy to understand, easy to read, even if you aren't necessarily familiar with the game already, which is super important. And it's easily accessible. Anybody can go on here, pick it up at a moment's notice, and just start reading. Just learn about the game that you're interested in. Dragon Ball, here we are. So I just wanted to give a real big shout out to this. I know that a lot of other people did it, and they did it a little before me, but that's all right. I'm going to do it too because Infil deserves it. This is really good, and you should check it out. Thanks, and when we go into some more information, because pretty soon we're going to be playing this game, I'm really excited. I'll be setting up a new guide here pretty soon, and I hope to see you there.